Hi, this is Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult, and I'm giving you the story behind the song on the Consequence Podcast Network.
Obviously, everybody knows this song. It's featured prominently in countless films ranging from Halloween to Gone Girl. I think most people know that Stephen King cites it as the inspiration behind the novel The Stand, and it's actually, the lyrics are quoted at the beginning of the novel, but I think that he actually got some of the lyrics wrong when he did that. You wrote it, you sang it, you played lead guitar on it. Tell us the story, Don. How did that classic, amazing track, how did that all just come out of your mind?
The germ of it literally did come out of my mind. It's the signature guitar riff in the beginning. I just played it, and once I had played it, I turned on the tape recorder because, I knew that it sounded good, so I had that. And coincidentally, it was the first song I'd written on my new 4-track tape recorder, which enabled me to play multiple parts in sync. Before computers, there were tape recorders, and before tape recorders, only professional studios had multi-track recorders. But around that time, must have been about 1974, TIAC came out with a 4-track recorder that was affordable. And so that was the first song I'd written on that. The first 2 lines of lyric, all our times have come here, but now they're gone, just kind of popped into my head. I don't know if I'd thought of Don't Fear the Reaper yet, but at some point I wanted to write about dying at a young age, and because I'd been diagnosed with a heart arrhythmia, and I was a little worried about it. Turns out it wasn't a big deal, it was manageable. But I was thinking about mortality and imagining that there would be life after death, and that especially from a romantic sense, that your partner wouldn't be alone. There would be a way to, get over that hump of the here and now, So that's the imagination of the story.
You were just playing your guitar.
Yeah.
You picked it up one day and
Well, actually, I was in front of the machine and I was trying to think of something to put down, Yeah.
Really? So
yeah.
You were intentionally trying to come up with something at that time.
Right. I was songwriting, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But do you recall the moment when that came out of you? That riff?
I remember the time and place. Yeah, I was, I had the machine on a little upright piano, a console piano, and I was sitting on the piano bench playing guitar, and it was going right into the machine.
And so when you first played that riff, you said that the first couple lyrics came out roughly at the same time? Yeah,
well, I recorded a passage of the guitar riff, just basically the intro, and I sang the first couple of lines on another track over that, and I built the song from there, basically.
Yeah, and you were saying that because you had this heart arrhythmia, you were already thinking about, death at a very young age.
Yeah, well, it just got me thinking about the whole dying thing, and like, I think most people when they're sentient, they don't want to not be, They like to think that there's something beyond beyond dirt, at the end of your life,
Yes.
Yeah.
When was that thought about writing a song about premature death or about death, was that present with you when you were intentionally recording and the riff came out and the first 2 lines come out? Were you was that whole mindset with you at that point?
Well, fairly early on, I knew the song was Don't Fear the Reaper, and the job was to tell a story, that was, engaging. And I thought of it in a like in a literary or a visual sense. I mean, I could see pictures in my head of the story as it unfolded.
So did the lyrics flow easily? Is this a song that you wrote in a day, 2 days, a week, a
It
month?
took me about 6 weeks to finish the story, to just make, get the form and find out how it wraps up, how is the happy ever after, achieved, and basically, there, what happens is, the guy comes back over whatever the separates what I imagine is out there and what we are experiencing here, and he gets his gal and they go away.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when it first started flowing out of you, that first riff, did you know that you had something special?
No, not until it was done. Actually, not until it was recorded at the record plant in New York did I realize that, it really was something. I mean, I made a demo of it on the 4-track machine, and the band did a great job translating that demo to the Agents of Fortune version. But it's basically the same arrangement. It's not very different. So, yeah, I mean, when I had the demo, I knew it was good.
Is
I
that demo available anywhere?
Yeah, it's on one of our extended versions of the Agents of Fortune LP.
Yeah. There are so many misconceptions also about that song. And rather than identify what a lot of people think that is, what the song is about, how would you describe what Don't Fear the Reaper is a story about?
The biggest misconception is that it's about suicide, and it's really not. And I think just referencing Romeo and Juliet makes people think that, and I understand that how they do think that, but that's not certainly what I was thinking about. Other
Yeah.
than Romeo and Juliet, you assume got somewhere
Yeah.
where they were going.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
Yeah.
the biggest leap of faith you have to take.
Right. So you were alluding to the fact that it's really a love song and about love transcending death, right?
Exactly.
So for everybody out there, this wonderful love song about love transcended and about this couple that it goes on, but in an overall very haunting kind of sense. It's just incredible. One thing I have to ask you about, you used the number 40,000, and how did that about 40,000 every day?
I just imagine that's the number of people that are just passing away every day. I don't know what the actual number is. I
Yeah.
knew that I needed a number that I could sing, that had the right cadence, the right number of syllables. You wouldn't want like a complex number with with
No.
10 syllables in it.
Right, exactly. And how do you feel about the song today?
I'm not tired of it. Even after 40 odd years, I'm not tired of it. So that's good. Yeah.
Is there anything that I haven't teased out just about the creation of the song itself? What was going through your mind or your life at the time?
To replicate the impact of the Reaper would be nice, but it's funny the way the song happened. It's not like I could just command another one to come into being. I have to thank the universe or whatever, just people's perception of it, that they dig it as much as they have. I mean, I didn't know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a moment of inspiration. My understanding is that the guitar solo and the guitar rhythm sections were recorded in one take. Is that correct?
Yeah, the middle solo was recorded in one take.
When you have that section that come in, that's a little bit disorienting.
Right. Now that's supposed to that represents the transition, and that's when the skies part and all this metaphysical stuff happens.
Yeah. And that was all recorded in one take, which is I've read enough about interviews of other artists who have recorded your song, and they find it virtually impossible to play that bridge.
Yeah. Well, even I don't play it exactly like the record. I don't play any. When you see me live, I'm improvising most of the lead sections on every song, not just the Reaper. So, but that said, the structure of the bridge was planned, and the band recorded it with me on that. And when I did the lead, I don't know if I'd done takes before the one we kept, but it was basically done in one pass. And it's not that I don't do it the other way, where you take a bunch of takes and then you comp them together. I work that way now with the ease of digital editing. It's fun to do that, especially on the engineering side. But in the case of Don't Fear the Reaper, it just happened to be one take. And that's what it was.
Everybody knows. It's become such a part of, it's just such an iconic phrase now that, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. So more cowbell. So Buck, when did you first learn about Will Ferrell and the gang at Saturday Night Live doing the famous Bruce Dickinson cowbell skit?
My wife's mom called us up about halfway into the sketch and said, "Turn on Saturday Night Live now." We just saw the end of it, and then I forget how long it took to see it again. We hadn't videotaped it in the moment, but somebody did, and we saw it soon thereafter. And they didn't tell us they were going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what Will Ferrell was thinking when he came up with the idea for that sketch, but it's hilarious. It's still hilarious, even after all these years.
Oh, it's hilarious. He was inspired, clearly. He was inspired to come up with something like that. And it really has become part of the vernacular that's transcended the Will Ferrell skit, where there are moments where people say, "I need more cowbell," to just about anything.
Right. No, it comes in handy. I mean, I say it myself.
So how did you feel about it when you first saw it?
My first reaction was relief that it was funny, and that SNL didn't slag the band, because they didn't. They made fun of us, but it was sort of gentle fun.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the SNL part and the more cowbell, and I'm picturing Will Ferrell right now with his shirt riding up, riding up his stomach as he's in everybody's face with the cowbell.
Right. But, of course, the star of the sketch is Christopher Walken. He's the guy.
Well, of course. His name was Bruce Dickinson in the sketch,
right.
But Bruce
now,
Dickinson
wasn't the actual producer of the Reaper, but he was on this compilation record, and Bruce is a Sony legacy producer of compilations. Basically, is what he does, and so they just took his name off the record jacket that they bought at wherever sold CDs in those days.
Yeah,
that's where they got all the costuming and stuff from the picture on the cover of that CD.
Yeah, that's classic. So Will Ferrell just got the name wrong, but it's become part of legend.
Right.
So, but let's go into the studio about the decision to have the cowbell be as prominently featured. So do you know how that came to be? Yeah,
the cowbell was added sort of late in the recording, and the idea was belonged to David Lucas, who is one of the three co-producers of that record, and he just thought that the tune could use a little four on the floor consistency, to sort of glue everything together. And to this day, there's conflicting memories of who actually played the cowbell on the cut. I don't think I was in the studio when it was recorded.
So everybody wants to be that legend.
I don't know who played the cowbell. It was either David or Albert Bouchard. I think that's the two people that are likely. David could have played it himself, but anyway, it's not, in fact, that loud, the cowbell.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to
Which
ask you
makes
this.
the whole idea of the sketch even funnier to me, because, when he says you could use more, well, you could hear it louder, because it's not that loud. I just want to ask Will
Yeah.
Ferrell, you're right, it's not that loud. How did the idea occur to you to make that sketch?